Okay, well, thank you everybody for your attendance today. Based on the poll question, I'm guessing you had a thought maybe of what today's topic is going to be. Um, but welcome back to our brief financial discussion. If you're joining for the first time, my name is Matt Dunlap. And each Thursday we cover a short financial topic. We took a break last week, but we are back and have some great guests coming up as well, along with some new content. So today we're going to be covering getting the best credit card for you. If you have any questions, please raise your hand virtually and we will try and get to those. We'll open it up for questions at the end, or if you would like to handle those on a one-on-one basis, you can contact us and that information will be on our last slide. So I haven't heard anything from Jess, who normally is the first person to let us know if something isn't working. So that's good to hear. So we're going to start today with our quote, as we always do. There we are. So hopefully that, there's a lot going on. We have a lot in our lives right now, and hopefully, these, not only these sessions, but the other things that you're doing at home, the positive things and your hopes and the goals that you're setting positively are going to help shape the future, no matter what we're looking at. So I thought that was poignant for today and the time that we're currently living in. So what's the best card for you? How do we determine that? The questions that everybody asks is, what are you looking for in a card? Are you asking the right questions when you're looking for a card? And then how do you take action on that? There are so many different opportunities and types of cards out there. We'll cover that a little bit today. But as a whole, it's really about just making sure you're asking the right questions, participating in the right programs based on your type of spending to get the most out of them. Credit cards can be a great useful tool to help from a financial perspective if done correctly. But that is with an asterisk of done correctly. And hopefully today's educational session will help you do that. So the first question always that we get is when do I use my debit card? When do I use my credit card? For some, that might seem like an elementary question, and for others, that might be the biggest question of the day. But if you're looking to avoid debt and can't be making monthly payments on a guaranteed level, we want to be using a debit card to pay bills to ensure that we're using it for the right things, but we can make the payments on them as well. If you want to earn rewards, you can make the monthly payments using a credit card to earn those rewards is a great way to do that. We will be going through some of the benefits of some of the programs in a few minutes here. But first, what I wanted to do is cover some of the questions we should be asking, so to make sure that we have the right cards for ourselves. So the first question you want to ask yourself is, this is an obvious one and one that I'm sure a lot of us deal with, is what happens if we have a payment, which obviously, first and foremost, paying those bills on time is a priority and something we want to do. We don't want to create bad habits, but life happens and there's times where we can't make the payments. So what happens from a forgiving perspective on late payments? So discover, and I just wanted to say before we get into this, well advised, and we have no affiliation with any credit cards. We're just going to be taking examples of features that different cards have. Obviously, use your best interest as it relates to finding the cards. So we'll be mentioning some specific names, but we have no affiliation with any of these. Please do your own due diligence to make sure that these cards are right for you. So Discover does not charge late fees on their first missed payment or raise your interest rate. Citi offers a card that doesn't charge late fees or penalties on an annual percentage, no matter if it's one late payment or multiple late payments. And Capital One is trying to make sure that customers don't have late payments at all. A message from their vice president of their card division was, about a year ago, we automatically enrolled every customer into payment due alerts. So really, there's a bunch of companies that are trying to eliminate that thought process. Even if your card doesn't charge late fees, though, there are the opportunity of missed payments and that being reported by the credit bureaus, which normally happens within 30 days. So even though your card might forgive you, the credit bureaus do not. So again, I think the biggest takeaway from this point is, and this question is make your payments on time. But as we know with life happening, what happens if we can't make that payment? The second question we want to ask is, can you choose your payment due date? A lot of times people try and match up their bills or have a bill payment day in order to make sure that there's not only consistency, but we're making our payments on time. One of the best ways to make sure that you're making your payments on time is actually setting a due date. Almost every major credit card company gives you the flexibility and the option to choose your payment date within a window of time. So with your current credit cards, go check those out. And also, if you get new ones, make sure that we're doing that every time that we get a new one to make sure that those are all lining up and matching up. It's a great way when you're budgeting and in the mindset just to kind of knock it all out at once versus doing it 5-6 different days. And the potential of forgetting is exponential when we don't set them up on common days. And the third question is, will my credit company lower my interest rates? If you're a good customer with a carrying balance, reach out to the issuer, and for a lower interest rate, there's a bunch of companies that they will lower them. If I said, in quote unquote, you're a good customer with a carrying balance. Also, look for debt consolidation as a way to lower interest payments if you have not done that in the past. Well-Advised K with our employee care offering can offer that as a suggestion. Okay. We have some questions coming in, making sure I'll get to those at the end. Question 4 that we want to ask is, will you raise my credit limit? You can always ask for an increase in your credit limit, but be sure you understand the upside and the potential downside of asking for a higher credit limit. This gives you access to more borrowing power, and it can improve your credit score by lowering your credit utilization ratio. But the downside is that creditors might be pulling, whether it's soft or hard, creditors might be pulling the report, which could ding your credit score, as we mentioned in our previous session around credit scores. Many times issuers have mechanisms to place a boost or an automatic increase to your credit limit based on your usage and all the data points that they look at around your credit card. But if you are looking to raise it or want to raise it and understand the positives and negatives behind that, it's a great place to start by calling them and seeing if you can raise your credit limit. Next question is, which credit score do you use? To reduce your chance of having a credit card application rejected, check your credit report and credit score before you apply. Don't let the application process be your identifier to figure out what your credit score is. Do your homework beforehand. There's plenty of companies, credit card companies actually, that will provide you a free credit check prior to being a customer. The two that come to mind are Discover and Capital One. So the goal there is, you want to check your score and your report. Once you know which card you want and that the credit and your credit score is equivalent, then go to your issuer and apply, and make sure you're asking these questions during the application process. But don't just start applying for cards and letting that be the time where you figure out what your score is and if it's a valuable card or not. And the final question that we want to ask ourselves when we're starting, or ask the issuers as we're starting or looking at different cards, is when do you report account information to the credit bureaus? Call your issuer and ask. If you don't want to call, the best place is to assume that you can find that as the closing date within your credit report. and it will actually show that information on your drawn out credit report. Those can be a little dry at times, but there's a ton of great information to help better utilize and better access your credit and the different credits you're using around your annual credit report. So as I talked about, there's plenty different types of cards. These are all considered categories of cards. We have, no annual fees, cashback, travel, airlines, hotels, student cards, business cards, starter cards, secured, unsecured, store cards, charge cards. A lot of these are, pretty similar in their usage and how they're done, but they each have different positives and negatives. So when you're asking about what this card is going to be used for and why you're accessing this card, you can be more specific than just a credit card. You can narrow it down to different subgroups that might actually be specific for the benefits that you're looking for. I'm sure everybody has their different store cards for their favorite purchasing or retail places, or airline cards if you're a traveler. But there's so many different options out there. There's plenty of different websites that will actually help you with that information. And here we actually have a list. I know that this is a little small, and I apologize, was just trying to get all the information on one page. But based on the types of credit cards that we talked about on the previous page, here are good examples of these cards in each subcategory. This information was provided by Wallet Hub, and you can go there to actually access these cards and look at these cards. They have editors and trained creditors that actually rate these cards on their usage and accessibility and overall benefit as an individual, which you can see on the far right. So if you're watching this via video, pause, take a look at them, check out these cards, or jot some of these down. This will be via YouTube. If you're watching us live, this will be via YouTube in a few minutes for you to be able to do a deeper dive on any of these subgroups. So we're going to take a pause here real quick and just going to answer one of the questions. Do the credit card companies openly divulge the organizations they donate to? Okay, so in regards to that question, some of them do, some of them don't. It's a matter of, if you call the issuers, they probably will be more openly able to discuss with you or talk about their different, I'm guessing we're talking about charity organizations here in some type of manner, or who their partners are, which if it's not on their website, I'm sure they would let you know if you gave them a call. In regards to if they legally have to or anything like that, that's they don't have to publicly do that. But yeah, I would ask specifically for the card or reach out to the group to get an answer specifically to the card you're looking at. And I believe that's the only question we have. So just want to remind everybody, 2 great places for resources and questions as it relates to this current state that we're in, and answering the most up-to-date questions as relates to personal finance around your checks coming in the mail, stimulus checks or unemployment checks, things like that. Please go to irs.com, ton of great resources. For more educational services, please go to welladvisedk.com. And our survival toolkit will continue to have these types of educational sessions, as well as reading materials, links, and other places to go and best practice your finances and your health and your mental well-being as well during these times. So a whole array of education and opportunities. Specifically, as it relates to that, please join us on Mondays at noon for a mindfulness practice led by the Director of Behavioral Health for Spark 360, Julie Fishkorn. There is a link on our website to join not only this webinar or the next webinar, or I'm sorry, the Spark Unplugged webinar. So if you have friends, family that you would think would be interested in this topic, please share this with them. Please share the invite with them, as well as doing a mindfulness session on Mondays to help clear your head and get prepared for the week. So as I said, thank you everybody for your time today. Really appreciate you joining during all the craziness that's out there in our world today. Hopefully this was helpful and helpful for somebody to, if you're looking for a new card or looking to reconsolidate your cards in some type of way, this was helpful. Please look at our contact information below for any further outreach. I don't believe we have any other questions. Please raise your hand if you do. But just want to take the time to say thank you to everybody for joining. And we will be next week with a great guest around investing in general and investing during times of turmoil or during these times. So thank you very much. Looking forward to next week as well. In the meantime, everybody stay healthy, stay safe, and have a great rest of your day. Thank you.